Once the deadline hits, all the safes will vanish into thin air. In other words, the robbers have 4 days. They need to pull off 3 international heists, and it's also Arthur's last chance to meet the legend, but Devin isn't pushing. Instead, he left Arthur an address and some time to think. After a night of overthinking, Arthur finally decided to join. Soon, he arrived at Devin's base, and the other members started showing up. Hackers were on logistics duty for driver Big Buddha, with the leader in charge of force. After confirming details and plans, they finally got down to business. Their first stop was a small bank in Paris, but being a newbie, Arthur was a bundle of but for his own sake, he had to go through with it. Pretending to be a passerby, he entered the bank and hid in the restroom. Then Devin slipped in when the door was open. He then went to the counter, claiming to deposit valuables, freaking the manager out. Now, the hacker chick enters. She went to the counter, babbling in a foreign language. Clueless, the man called the manager, who alone understood it. Seeing him flustered, Devin slipped out to help Arthur. The two hopped into the elevator and arrived at the vault, where one of the legendary treasures waited. To calm his racing heart, Arthur chose a song, stripped his jacket, pressed against the safe, and delicately spun the dial. Meanwhile, the safe's interior darkened, and Arthur noticed everything. Amid countless codes, he cracked it in under a minute. They filled their bags with cash. They played it cool and strolled out, successfully completing their first heist without a hitch. What they didn't know was, the cops were already onto them and recognized Gavin and Tommy, even deducing the target from the stolen safe. It was the legendary safe of the old warden. Meanwhile, Arthur and crew returned to base to celebrate their first score. Watching Gavin dance, Arthur was enchanted again. Time together made him crush on her. But Tommy was also closely involved. When Gavin left, Arthur followed, chatting about their past. It turns out Gavin was a rich girl who found her life boring, so she left home for excitement. After chatting about plans, a new target emerged. The next day, they arrived in Prague, and this target was even harder. Cops lurked around, but Tommy had a plan. Arthur first pretended to be a branch employee, carrying a box and entering. At the checkpoint, he whipped out a fake ID he had prepped. He thought he'd be caught, but was let through. The hacker chick had hacked the system at just the right moment. When they hit a door that needed a key, Arthur made a fake key gesture with his hand, while the hacker girl helped unlock it from behind. Then Gavin did the same, and the two finally regrouped in the elevator. When suddenly Arthur blurted out, he asked Gavin, "How come you're stringing Tommy along if you two are a couple?" But Gavin flat out denied it. Their convo was overheard by a peeved Tommy, who went green with envy. Just then the elevator doors opened and a security guard popped up, and Gavin jumped in to talk. Before long, they dealt with the guards, and Arthur cracked the safe when disaster struck. The security in the control room noticed something wrong. Realizing the system hack, they locked elevators. The cops sensed something wrong and moved in. On the flip side, the hacker chick relayed the news to Tommy, who had to put on a mask for a backup plan. He dashed into the bank solo, flaunting his skills and taking out guards with a tranquilizer gun. Before long, he secured the entire area, but curiously, the cops were still MIA. Turns out they had raided the wrong bank. The safes had already been sent to the branch. Meanwhile, Arthur hit a snag when the dials retracted all at once, indicating a security lock had been triggered. One more mistake and the safe would self-destruct. The situation worsened. Security guards alerted the cops. Any minute, the cops arrive. Desperate, he recalibrated and tried again. Luckily, he succeeded. The dials opened. He closed his eyes to decode, but Arthur froze in shock as the dials retracted. Gavin knew they failed, but unexpectedly, the next second, Arthur yanked the safe open. Cash spilled out, and they showed, giddy with excitement as they embraced. Just when they advanced, Tommy ordered a retreat. They stuffed cash in pockets quickly. They blended into the crowd and rushed out, thinking they'd smoothly escape. Little did Arthur know, Tommy had ditched them at the last. Gavin watched in disbelief as they slipped away, leaving her and Hans' heart shattered. He fumed on the street, cursing under his breath. Suddenly, blaring sirens echoed. Hans pointed and dashed away in panic towards the bridge. He quickly spotted a lady's bike and casually walked past her, swiping it in a flash. But of course, the cops were hot on his tail. Unfortunately, the bike was locked. Nearby, a guy had a bike too, so Hans shoved him aside without a second thought and hopped on, speeding into the street. He expertly weaved through the police cars, using his mad biking skills to evade capture, finally shaking the cops off his tail, but he ended up flying off his bike. Just when he thought he was in the clear, the cops spotted him again. Drenched in survival instincts, he scrambled to keep running. A train caught his eye, and after checking no cops were around, Hans had a lightbulb moment. He ditched the bike and sprinted alongside the train, timing it just right to leap aboard, narrowly escaping with his life. Exhausted, he finally returned home, only to find two women waiting at the dining table. Despite the lights being on, he didn't notice them at all. The women pondered how to grab his attention. They were stunned by his reaction, and Hans wondered how they ended up here. Gavin quickly apologized. "Sorry about ditching you during the heist, but I'm done with Brad and his crew now." For her, this was a mythical adventure, but Brad thought the money from 2 banks was more than enough.